Hello Internet and welcome to Diaries here on the D20 Multiverse with myself, Oliver Dungeon Master, and your chance to get behind the DM screen and see what's going on in my head. If you're asking, it's Pikachu and a tutu. So, some things I want to talk about in this episode. Let's start with something that's been on my mind, not just in D&D but in life, feeling trapped. So I've gotten to a point, got to a point in my campaign where most of Ucast, the continent, has been mapped out. Most of the cities have a story now, and I know the NPCs and such. The players within my world are still, experiencing new things, but I myself know so much of the story now, it's all kind of set, that instead of feeling inspired and able to create new vistas and stuff, I feel trapped in the world that I've created. I feel trapped in Ucast. So I decided there had to be a way out of that, as there always is. And so, Glommin and Globbin, this is a bit of a spoiler for my players, so my players, if you're watching this, please just tune off for the next minute, I don't know, however long I talk about, and then I'll tell you, but you'll be able to hear me. Forget it. So I've decided to introduce airships. You will possibly know that Blackwinter Nights, one of my games, do have a ship, a sailing ship that was given to them by Thrum and Ashback, which allows travel to different islands and stuff. But I'm also throwing in Globbin and Glommin, the gnome tinkerers in my world, the siblings who have not met each other yet, and one of them has created an airship. Now this is going to allow my players to cover a much more vast area and hopefully get me out of the kind of almost creative rut of having all this stuff planned and done and set and feeling like I can't progress beyond it. They keep going to the same places, and I've been really inspired by mostly World of Warcraft lately, and basically I'm just in a mood where I want to create new stuff. When I first created the world, Elisia and Ucast, it was very exciting because I had this blank sheet of paper. I essentially just drew the outline of a continent and started adding things to it. And there was such a rush as a DM, I want that back. So, yeah, airships and getting off the continent and exploring the rest of Elisia, because there's a lot there and there's a lot in my mind. In Blackwinter Nights, the new king of Blackwinter, I really have to change those names. In fact, I'm going to change those names with the new king. Argon has opened up the borders, and now there's people coming from all around Elisia. So all the kind of like the tribes and the clans and stuff that I've been dreaming up, I finally get to introduce them. And I'm hoping that this is going to give me a chance to feel renewed and refreshed, inspired creatively. Now, feeling trapped is also something you experience outside the world of D&D. Now, I've got a couple of jobs that I work, I've got my flat, I've got my friends, and I love my life, don't get me wrong. I have a lot of excitement in my life. I love hanging out and coffees and all that kind of stuff. But I think I've been in New Zealand too long, and I get in these moods sometimes where I have to travel. So I'm going overseas next year, and essentially in an attempt to combat my own complacency, throw myself into new experiences, which I think is going to be really beneficial. I just thought I'd mention that because it's vaguely related to D&D. Yeah, buying my plane tickets in like a month and a half, so excited. Because I think, as in a world of Dungeons and Dragons, as in our world, Earth and beyond, there's so much out there. There's so much culture and life and peoples and different ways of experiencing the world and different views, books to read and see the world through someone else's eyes, plays to see and be inspired creatively, movies and film and languages you don't understand, trying to scan through the text, the subtitles of broken English with these translators who don't get paid enough. And there's so much out there. And this is why airships are now in my world, because I want my players and I want myself to be able to see wonderful new things and the vistas of imagination, and then I bring it into my real life, and I'm doing it in real terms, getting on an airplane next year and sailing across the skies to new and wonderful lands. So that's the first thing I wanted to talk about. Now, another thing, as I was writing these points out, I kind of felt like I was listening to a lot of negative stuff, so don't get me wrong, I'm having a great time doing this, but getting disheartened with your own work. Now, this is something that's occurred to me throughout my life. It doesn't have to be specifically about Dungeons & Dragons. I can do an improv show and just get off stage afterwards and think that didn't work on any level. where I can do a play and look back at a recording and think, oh man, I really butchered that line. And I've recently been getting kind of disheartened with my own work in terms of D&D. I'm looking at my stories and I'm just going, it's too obvious, it's not clever, it's not entertaining, the players probably aren't enjoying themselves, and I get kind of down on myself in this kind of way. But trying to push past that is trying to create new things, and I feel that hopefully will refresh me as a DM when I'm just getting a little stuck at this point. And looking back on it, I think there's some good moments, but I feel like it's gone off the trail that it started on, and I feel like it's kind of lost in a swampy, murky haze of fog at this point, and I'm just trying to reawaken the light and bring the light back and cast and scatter those dark clouds away. But I do feel a little bogged down at this time. But I'm trying to not let it affect the game. I'm trying to not let it affect myself, and I'm just going to keep going at full speed ahead. It actually really helps knowing that, watching the views on YouTube and seeing that people are actually out there and enjoying what we're doing. That does actually keep me kind of revitalized when I log onto YouTube in the morning and see that we've got another couple of hundred views on our latest video of NPCs or something. That actually really does help a lot. But I'm not in a sad place personally. I'm getting into a darker place in the D&D world, just in terms of self-criticism, I guess. But yeah, I mean, we all go through that, I guess. It's just something. More coffee, that'll help. Damn good coffee. The other thing that actually occurred to me while watching a recent episode of Critical Role, I think it was 114, was I had an idea that currently in both games, the two parties in Ucast are fighting the 5 Lords of Violence, who have been reawakened by Lord Nyath. And essentially, the story is being driven at the moment by Stop the Bad Guys, classic. But watching 114 Critical Role, I actually want to, after that, or maybe if I can find a break in between some of the battles, have a whole bunch of story content that actually has nothing to do with bad guys. Instead of going, there's this evil overlord kind of thing, they'll see maybe the next challenge to overcome is poverty or hunger or something like that, and give them a kind of tie into the real world, but also give them a kind of refreshing, interesting problem to solve, other than just evil guy doing evil things. So I'm trying to create the next couple of sessions somewhere in between the two, the fights of the Lords of Violence, or maybe afterwards, where it's really story-driven D&D, and not focused on bad guys, but focused on the world itself, and maybe some things of Queen Asalia's got some stuff going on, and that's my computer that I forgot to turn off, because it wouldn't be DM Diaries without me forgetting to turn the sound off on my computer and get a message. That's just what happens. So yeah. So there's cool story stuff coming in both games, and I'm going to try and just do the next chunk of the campaign as being not about defeating a bad guy, but defeating some other problems in the world. Another thing that I've really enjoyed doing is hiding things in my world. It's kind of fun as a DM just to, in your head, when they go through a forest or go through a city, you just think, there's something there. If they go into that room, or if they go into that tree, or if they climb down that hole, they find something cool. And then there's that thing of I can't say anything because it'll ruin it, but it's just nice having things hidden around the world. There's some artifacts in Ucast that are really powerful and are just hidden in places, and I'm curious to see if my players will ever find them, or if they'll just remain forever locked in some box. But I find that quite exciting, actually, having because one of my favourite things as a DM is having the players discover something that makes them go. So having items that are hidden as well just gives me a chance to DM screen over the top of the DM screen, just kind of going hee hee hee. Yes. So. Yeah, I highly recommend just hiding little amulets or that kind of thing around in your world, because it's actually quite fun, especially when the party comes really close. Eyes of Elisia in a recent game actually got close to discovering one of the most powerful artifacts in Ucast at the moment, but they did not. They got close to it, but they didn't quite figure it, which actually was quite fun. Another thing I want to talk about. So I work in a store that sells D&D supplies. I've been talking to this one dude. He's real cool. He's been a DM for ages. And essentially we've been talking about D&D. Every time he comes in, we have a chat about our games and such. And he's got an entire library of role-playing books. He's got I don't even know, tons of role-playing books. He's lending them to me, and he's just saying, well, when you're done reading them, bring them back, and I'll just cycle through, and we'll just keep swapping these books. I was like, holy crap, are you serious? So I don't know if you can see right there. So I've got my monitor, one of my monitors here, and just there, I've got 4 really cool books. I've got the Wheel of Time role-playing book. I've got a couple of other really cool ones. I'm just flicking through, man. Such a good way to get inspired for D&D is just reading pre-gen campaigns, players' handbooks and stuff. You don't have to go exactly, but just reading that kind of stuff of people who are essentially professionals at creating D&D worlds is really a great way to get inspired quickly. So thank you, dude, at Caffeinated Dragon Games. Hey, come and say hi in Wellington. I work Tuesdays. And yeah, so it's real cool. It's real cool. Don't stalk me. It's real cool because I've got now this huge library of books. I don't even have to pay for them. I'm just borrowing them, which is awesome. And man, making connections with other DMs, because I meet a lot of DMs doing my job, and it's real cool building this kind of network of the secrets, DM tips, and all that kind of stuff. It's just great. It's just great. And the last thing I want to talk about, possibly the last thing, I might just keep rambling, is the difficult task of, because I'm friends with all my players, right? Me and Will Gorstad, we play poker a lot, and I just hung out with Alex Nicolaias, so we had coffee. It was his birthday. So yeah, I'm friends with all my players. It gets really difficult at some times, because you want to talk about your campaign with your friends, because your campaign is a huge part of your life. I love my campaign. So I really want to be like, oh my god, you can't, and then it's like, oh, I can't say that because it'll ruin the next part of the campaign. And I honestly don't have too many people that are so excited about D&D that I can talk to them for hours, I have 1 or 2, about campaigns and have them be okay with that. Most of the time, the people that really love D&D are playing in my games, and I really want to say, oh my god, you're not going to believe what's happened with Queen Elisia. But I can't, because they're players in that game. And of course, with the crossovers from both my games, Black Winter Nights and Eyes of Elisia, I can't even talk about what's going on in Eyes of Elisia with Black Winter Nights, because there's the same story stuff is happening. The 5 Lords of Violence are active in both games at the moment. So, it's a fairly short DM diary this week. This is me wrapping it up, but thanks to everyone out there that has supported our project, the D20 Multiverse, and it's been really great seeing the views and the likes and such. And in 2 weeks' time, I'll be back with another DM Diaries, giving you a chance to get behind the DM screen and see what's going on in my mind. In case you're wondering, it's ghastly in a... Damn it, what's the word? It's ghastly. One of the hats with the baubles and stuff, with the party with the spiral and the party hat and the... I'm too tired. Alright, well, I obviously need more coffee, and then I'm going to play World of Warcraft, because... reasons. So thank you very much for coming along this rambling, pointless journey. I don't know, like and subscribe. Coffee.